for example, we had an election.
Yeah.
That Herschel Walker and what's
Reverend Raphael Warnock.
Right.
Why you say
having
Reverend
a
like
runoff.
Oh,
right?
I'll tell you why I've said that in just a minute.
They're having a runoff, correct?
Yes, they are. Because in Georgia, you have to reach 50%.
Let me ask y'all a question.
To win. So,
let me ask y'all a question.
Although, and so I don't know what would have happened if now we're going to find, because there's always a third party candidate that people just vote for just because.
Let me ask y'all a question. How do you feel when you see Herschel Walker going on one of his monologues or rants when he talks for a long time? How do you guys feel when you hear that brother talking on an open forum?
It's comedy. What's Donnell?
You said comedy.
It's comedy. Donnell Rollins said, he wants him to get it just so he can laugh at him
for the next for whatever the term
comedy.
is.
Yeah, just for the comedy.
J Moore, how you feel when you see that brother had a floor, man?
See, if this wasn't about people who actually make laws and the critical decisions that impact us all as a country, it would be hilarious. This would be so funny because whenever I see him on TV, it's like a Saturday Night Live sketch. But because it's real, like, and now what I'm really bothered by is like they always have like a white handler sitting next to him, make sure he doesn't tell like a joke.
Handler.
Yeah, like he was saying
keep
something.
Keep him in line.
He said something like, "How he gonna be a reverend and not be a reverend?" And my favorite number is blue, and like he was going through it with
like turtles
with Ted Cruz sitting right next to him. And there's another video like with him and Lindsey Graham, and he's like, "See, how can they say Republicans are racist? Look, we got Herschel Walker." And I was like, if anything,
that's
would
really
let
bad. That's not
if
good
anything
at all.
would let me know that you're somewhat racist is the fact that you are sitting next to Herschel Walker. Like the fact that you have to point it out.
Yeah, man.
And so but why the reason I've said Reverend Raphael Warnock is because the majority of white evangelical Christians, so-called white evangelical Christians, instead of voting for a man who is dedicated his life to preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, instead of voting for him, they voted for someone who has allegedly paid for some medical procedures.
I know what you're talking about.
And is not sure how many kids he has.
And
the ones he does know he had wasn't really into taking care of them.
Listen.
And has had assault charges, domestic violence, held weapons to women's heads, got into it with the police, but he came out with that Paw Patrol badge, so I guess that's okay. And
like, see,
yeah,
somebody's getting knocked.
And even with all that, the white evangelical Christian, overwhelmingly voted for, and overwhelming white women overwhelmingly
lots of white women.
Despite the medical procedures, despite the children not being taken care of, despite all the domestic violence charges, we're still going to go with him. So that just tells you that to a certain extent, if you as a black candidate cannot be controlled by a certain power structure, then your morality means nothing, because there is nothing moral about this Herschel Walker. Don't get me wrong, he killed. I know there are some people who are voting for him just because he brought Georgia a championship back in the early 80s.
First of
for
all,
some people, it's just as simple as that.
Well, first Georgia football.
But first of all, where's the morality in real life anyway? We just talked about that prior to coming on.
But just think about it.
He's right on point. He's right on brand.
Yeah, but for the people who actually claim that morality is a part of what guides them when they go into a voting booth.
Yeah,
and instead of voting for a Baptist minister who literally preaches at Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's church in Atlanta.
Ebenezer.
Thank you.
And so instead of voting for him, it's like the guy who can't complete sentences and has a bunch of domestic violence charges. That's really who we learned.
Yo, I saw an appearance for him on, I think it was, I'm assuming it had to be Fox, that I saw on YouTube. And you know how people go through and they will introduce who's going to be a speaker, and they'll be off, the guests will be off screen. So they brought him on, and when his face popped up, you could hear applause in the background. Like, people were so excited to hear this dude get ready to talk. And it kind of goes back to the point of what you're talking about, where morality and all the rest of that stuff is clearly being thrown out the window because fam really has a groundswell, and if he didn't, it wouldn't be a runoff to begin with. But the fact that that's to actually watch that, it's like how we felt. When I left, we were recording one of our early podcasts when Trump won, and it's like driving
like week 1 or 2.
Yeah, driving in the car. I'm driving in the car back to my crib, like wow. Bam is the president of the United States. It's the same thing with this. When I watch the runoff and all that, I'm like, people really taking this dude serious and vouching for him out in the open. That's spooky. That's a scary sight, bro. Because there's nothing about him to me.
You have to understand, if they can get Herschel Walker is obedient to the white power
100%,
structure
100%.
in this country. He doesn't have to be great. He just has to be obedient.
He's openly obedient.
He has to be somebody and the thing is, it's like all the worst and most dangerous stereotypes they have about black men in this country. For whatever reason, they've embraced those stereotypes because they've got somebody who is. Because I guarantee you, if he gets elected, and I guarantee there's a very strong chance that by December, they're setting it up for Herschel Walker to be a senator. Now, luckily,
that's crazy.
But this is the thing.
Crazy.
Now, luckily, because the way other things have broke, even if by chance he does wind up becoming a senator, that it's because the Republicans did so poorly in this last election cycle, it's not
that red wave.
Yeah, that red wave didn't really kick in like they thought. It's not as crucial that at one point it was like everything comes down to Georgia, and it was like nope, not really.
People were also kind of backing away from Trump here. If y'all have noticed that, Republicans.
Well, yeah, because everybody he backed lost.
I'm seeing a little bit of a. Yeah, they tiptoeing back a little bit. I'm seeing that.
It's more so they're trying to pull. They're trying to figure out who the next face is going to be. But they will flip.
Boy out of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Trump Jr.
Yeah, are they good? No, basically they thought it was going to be the person who the Lake in Arizona. She was about to be the next star, but she didn't win the governorship.
Look, man, I want to get to some of these questions before we get to the rundown. We can talk about this. We can talk about this forever.
Before we get too wild.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far.
Shout out to Herschel Walker and his Hooked on Phonics program that he's worked so hard on.
That didn't work for him.
He's still learning his colors.